So good morning, good day, hello. And sometimes it's useful to see ourselves in a different way than we habitually do. So it occurred to me to greet you, uh, calling you all earthlings. So, good day, earthlings. And for me, that calling ourselves earthlings, uh, immediate identification with this earth, that this is our place, this is our home, and that there's kind of a mutual, kind of identification with all living beings that are here, not just human beings that share this planet. And so to have this different name, like different than Homo sapiens or people or something. And so this idea, this ability to shift our orientation simply with a word can make a huge difference in meditation practice and in mindfulness and in liberation, because we often are unconsciously many times conditioned by concepts we've internalized, that our society, our family, our experience somehow points us in that direction so that we think in that way all the time. And I know that sometimes like with COVID, my son got COVID, and I had contact with him about almost 2 months ago now, and I had contact with him before he knew he had it, and so he called me up and explained the situation, and so that day I was oriented towards all kinds of little changes in my body temperature and the raspiness of my throat, and is that a headache or not a headache I was having? And it was just kind of, my orientation became focused on different body parts that were associated with symptoms of COVID. Other times, there've been times in my life where I used to have very long blonde hair, and I remember seeing other people with long blonde hair, and now I was, concerned with comparing myself to them, and my orientation of who I was through my hair. So the ways in which we understand our body can be biased. The ways we orient ourselves towards our body can be through a particular lens. And that lens can be wind drag. That lens can be a little bit of a weight. Maybe it's a little bit negative self-talk. Maybe we orient ourselves in a way that towards ourselves that we're not happy with our body, and just connecting to our body is a little bit discouraging, and because of the orientation we have. So this 32 or 31 parts of the body exercise, one of its functions is to begin shifting the way that we understand or oriented towards our body, the concepts in which we hold it by, from one that often can produce a lot of suffering to one that doesn't, to one that actually helps us become concentrated. And I think so. So that's all I'll say for now. So, we're kind of taking a side tour, a detour right now, on the kind of the simplest way of continuing with Satipatthana. But this is the way the text goes, and maybe for good reason. It's now that we've kind of done the foundation work, now we're continuing to lay down a stronger foundation with this 32 parts of the body. I keep saying 32. The usual meditation practice is 32 parts, but in this discourse we're doing, there's only listed 31. The brain is left out. And so for today, what I'd like to do, and for the beginning of this sitting, is to do a version of this practice of the parts of the body. Often people, when they learn it learn it in groups of 5. So I'll teach you a group of 5. I'll guide you with a few rounds around how doing this, and then we'll be silent, and you can either continue with the rounds and just keep doing it and see if the focus on it, both develop some concentration, and also kind of a little bit begins orient yourself to your body in a different way that maybe brings more stability, more freedom, more ease, maybe. So see what the difference is of how you do it. So so the five parts of the body is the progression from the external to the internal. So the first is the skin, then the flesh, then the tendons, then the bones, and then the bone marrow. So skin, tendons, skins, flesh, tendon, bones, marrow. And I'll post it here in the chat, just if you want to see it there. Skin, flesh, tendons, bone, marrow. And you might try repeating it with me a few times, out loud or silently, so you get the hang of it. Skin, flesh, tendons, marrow, tendons, bones, marrow. I need to get the hang of it. Skin, tendons, there we go again. Skin, flesh, tendons, bone, marrow. Skin, flesh, tendon, bones, marrow. So, taking a meditation posture and kind of maybe shaking a little bit in your body and swaying back and forth a little bit to help you settle in. And gently closing the eyes and letting the eyes be relaxed. Some people find it helpful to imagine or feel the eyes as cool eyes. And then a few long, slow, deep breaths, settling into your body as you exhale. Letting your breathing come to normal. And again, with the ordinary breath, continue this process of relaxing into your body, softening. And then bring your attention to one of your hands. And to feel the sensations of your hands, of your hand. The warmth and coolness that's there. Any tingling and pulsing that might be there. Any contact of the hand against some other part of the body. pressure, weight, softness. And then for a few moments here now, focus on the sensations on the skin, the warmth or coolness that might be there. If the skin is touching something, feeling the contact of the skin. Be aware of the skin, but see if you can feel from the sensations of skin more than your thoughts and ideas and memories of what your hands look like. We see the hand from the outside when we look at it, but we can feel the hand from the inside. So what are the sensations of the skin, surface of the hand? With your eyes closed, maybe no need to have an image or a memory or ideas about your hand, just to feel the skin. And then to spread your attention of skin throughout your body, letting the awareness float to wherever in the body the skin has sensations. And be aware of skin. Underneath the skin is flesh. The muscles that we have, maybe it includes the fat that's there. And can you kind of feel your way or imagine your way to some place in your body where you feel the sensations or you sense, intuit, the flesh that's there, the sensations that are deeper than the skin. And feel those. Independent of what you think about it, the ideas you have. That this exercise is giving permission for the flesh to reveal itself in its own terms. The flesh has no ideas about how it should and shouldn't be. It just is. And allow the sensations just be. And then going deeper in, there's the tendons, the ligaments. Perhaps the tendons connecting the bone to the bones. Maybe you feel or can imagine them stretched if your knees are bent. Maybe there's no obvious sensations, but vague sense of location or place or shape of tendons. The Achilles tendon. And if you don't feel it, then the exercise is to imagine it. Imagine maybe what it looks like. And then deeper is the bones. Perhaps some version of white bones. Perhaps you've seen nowadays around here a lot of life-size Halloween skeletons. Skull and rib cage, hips. If you have the ability to visualize, you can visualize your bones. Or you can feel or sense the hardness, the solidity, the structure of the bones that hold you upright, maybe. And then deep in the bones, especially some of the larger bones in the body, is marrow. Where blood is made, life-giving blood is made. A little bit more fibrous, perhaps, than the outer side of the bone. Imagine visualizing the marrow, feeling yourself settling into the center of some of the bones. So for a few rounds, I'll just recite these 5 areas of the body and let yourself follow the path from the surface to inside, feeling, imagining, visualizing, sensing these important parts of your physical body, without which you wouldn't be able to manage in your life. Skin, flesh, tendons, bones, marrow, I'll do it one more time and then you're on your own. You can do it slower or faster or not at all. Skin, flesh, tendons, bones, marrow, And then as we come to the end of this sitting, to consider other people, and maybe for them also to see them in a new way, different than the usual one, but perhaps to see them as skin, flesh, tendons, bones, and marrow. To imagine, to visualize, to reflect that they too, just like you, have skin, flesh, tendons, bones, and marrow. They too have the skin that holds everything together, flesh and muscles that store nutrients and house the muscles to which we can be active, tendons that hold the bones together, the bones, they too have bones, and marrow, all material that it's arisen out of this earth, all material which is recycled. Our physical beings are made up of recycled materials. Atoms that are in us now and will be somewhere else when we die. We are made from this earth, earthlings, all of us. And perhaps sensing the physicality and the earthiness of each being, perhaps seeing them differently in a way that we share so much commonality, we share our earthliness, we share in this endless recycling of material. May we live together as a community of earthlings. May we live together with care for each other, with respect for each other, with generosity to each other. May we live together with love for each other. And may we, in small or large ways, find ways to live and express that love, the care, the respect for other earthlings. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free. So we're exploring the fourth exercise of the Satipatthana Sutta. And perhaps some of you who are settling in to the sequence from before feel like we're taking a little detour. And now we're using parts of our mind that are usually not associated with mindfulness practice. Imagination, reflection, uh, consideration of these body parts that we have. And I think it's worthwhile pointing out that this is a time-honored practice in the Buddhist tradition. And monastics, so many who are novice or new monastics, this is the first practice they're given. And it's meant to set the stage, the foundation for developing practice further. It kind of changes the kind of the mental ecology in a certain way that maybe makes it easier to settle when we get back into kind of really focusing in the more, classic idea of what mindfulness practice is. And for one thing, what it does, it's meant to cultivate concentration. And so some people will memorize the list of 31 or 32 if the brain is added to it. And then once you've memorized it, just keep reciting it. And some people, there's a practice of doing it forward and backwards. So memorizing it from the starts with head hair and ends with urine. So you'd go in that direction, and then you do it backwards from urine to head hair. And it requires focus and attention to stay on it and keep it in a regular pace. That it's very hard to think about other things and wander off. And to keep doing it over and over again, kind of like a little bit like a mantra, but do it over and over again. It was something that requires alertness and certain kind of effort. Over time, the distracted mind might quiet down and settle, and we find there's a gathering together, a focusing of the mind, that then we can stop focusing on reciting the parts of the body and just focus now on the practice itself because we're stable, we're steady. So it's a way of building concentration. The other thing it does is that it shifts the orientation towards our body from one, maybe if one has a kind of unhelpful orientation to the body. For example, just body image. Some people are caught up in body image. Some people spend a tremendous amount of time fixing their body image, making it just right. And body image is often involved with a lot of comparative thinking. And and painful comparative thinking, a lot of suffering when we get involved in the world of comparative thinking, how I am compared to others. And to shift out of that mode, the concentration is one way to do that, but to do it also to begin developing a different way of understanding, perceiving the body, and to see the body not as a unified whole, which sometimes lends itself to a kind of an abstract concepts, but to look at the parts of the body individually, as if each of them stands out by itself. And there are two analogies given. There's one here. One analogy given here for this particular way of seeing the body in parts. And that is a bag, like a bag of skin, but a bag that contains a lot of rice and beans. So here's the description. Just as if a person with good eyesight were to look into a sack with an opening at each end filled with various kinds of seeds, such as fine rice, paddy rice, mung beans, garbanzo beans, sesame seeds, and husked rice, one would recognize this is fine rice, this is paddy rice, this is mung beans, these are garbanzo beans, these are sesame seeds. So a practitioner reviews, visualizes, imagines this very body upward from the soles of the feet, downward from the head of the hair, covered with skin and full of various kinds of unclean things. In this body, there is head hair, body hair, nails, teeth, and skin, flesh, tendons, bones, marrow, kidneys, heart, liver, diaphragm, spleen, lungs, large intestines, small intestines, contents of the stomach, feces, bile, phlegm, um, pus, and blood, sweat, fat, tears, oil, um, fat, tears, oil, and snot, saliva, fluid of the joints, and urine. So the so one reviews oneself in the same way, and when I imagine this bag full of seeds and beans and different colors, and be able to say each one, clearly for what is different from the others, and be able to see the difference, but they're not all the same. They're all different and distinct, and I imagine these seeds as being quite beautiful. Fresh, dried, new seeds are so beautiful to see. At least I admire them, and so there's a kind of positive association then with how we review this body, even though it is housed in the idea of seeing it as being unclean or impure or something. Un, but we're shifting our orientation and in a new way to these parts of the body and feeling different ways. So to go through and have memorized the 31 parts, and then to use it as a body scan and simply go through over and over again. So it's not just like a chant that you do, but now it's a guided meditation you give yourself, and you go steadily through the body to feel the different parts or imagine the different parts. And so it certainly can break up the hegemony of the old body image and body ideas and body challenges that we have about an image and ideas of the body to a new way of experiencing the body that can be much more compassionate and freeing. But it also begins awakening our capacity to feel the body, to be in the body. And this is also one of the great functions of this exercise, is to start feeling more connected to your body so that it becomes easier and easier to practice breathing with the whole body, sensing the whole body. And the more you can feel your whole body, then as the meditation practice continues to develop, the body then becomes a better receptor or repository for some of the good feelings that develop through meditation. Some of the relaxation, some of the joy, some of the delight, some of the pleasures that come as we settle into the practice. And the practice can build on that foundation of well-being that can be spreading through the body. It makes it easier to stay grounded and present. So these are some of the functions. The last function is for people who have a lot of sexual lust and sexual imagination of partners and all kinds of creative things that human bodies can do with each other, that sometimes this 32 parts of the body are given as a way to somehow break out of the way of considering bodies if that were required for sexual lust to happen. And maybe you don't feel like that's very interesting to do or valuable to do, but for people who are trying to meditate, especially like a lot of meditation, and find themselves repeatedly pulled into the world of sexual fantasies, sexual desires, it's one of the antidotes. So it ends up being less frustrating than trying to continually working against, the sexual ideas, the feelings, desires one has. And remember that this practice is often given to the new monks, and young men who maybe have young women, nuns, who maybe have a little bit more orientation around that than older people sometimes do. So, so this is a practice of concentration, of developing contact to the body, awakening the body, and finding more freedom through a new connection to the body. So we'll do this, spend one more day on this tomorrow, and then we'll move on to the next exercise. And I hope that the little contact we do here gives you some appreciation for this practice, and also some sense of how it can be beneficial and be a resource, a way of practicing at times when it'd be useful. So, body hair, head hair, body hair, nails, teeth, skin, and flesh, tendons, bones, marrow, kidneys, heart, liver, diaphragm, spleen, lungs, large intestines, small intestines, contents of the stomach, feces, bile, phlegm, pus, blood, sweat, fat, tears, snot, saliva, joints, fluids of the joints, and urine. May you enjoy your body today. May you be connected to your body and curious about your body and more familiar with your body. So, thank you.